us very distinct here at the Port of Long Beach is we handle a diverse cargo here. So as you look out of the window, which was the reason why I was opening the blinds, you'll be able to see some of our containerized cargo. We have everything moving in and out of the port that you can imagine, everything from electronics to furniture to toys, automobiles, so that's brake bulk, some of our larger items. So we'll have tractors, trailers, cars. We also have liquid bulk, which is some of the crude oil that you'll find moving through the port. Just structurally, the way the port is set up is we have a 5-member board of harbor commissioners. Our board is appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council, and they serve up to 2 6-year terms, and we have a very active board. Over, I would say, maybe the last 7 to 8 years, they've been very engaged and focused on environmental mitigation related to port operations. So Thomas will talk to you a bit about our green port policy and our clean air action plan. We have, or used to have, 7 container terminals. Now we have 6. We're currently redeveloping one of our container terminals. It used to be Long Beach Container Terminal and California United Terminal. Probably too much information for you, but it's our Middle Harbor redevelopment project. You can find information about that online. Our port is very well known, I think, as you look at seaports around the country. Again, we've been very aggressive in looking at innovative ways to improve the environment. We have our green port policy, which I think was adopted back in 2004. 5. Our clean air action plan, which is 2006.
And updated in 2010.
Right. See, we work well together. Looks at a variety of different source categories. We look at ocean-going vessels, trains. Actually, I won't steal your thunder. I'll leave that for you. Some of the other things that we do, as Stephen referenced, is that we're very active in the community. So you'll find many of our community relations staff at community events throughout not only just the city of Long Beach, but throughout the region. Part of our major objective is to educate not only just our customers that we work here with on a regular basis, but also the general population about what it is that we do here. 1 in 8 jobs in the city of Long Beach is attributed to goods moving in and out of the Port of Long Beach. About 30,000 jobs within the region is associated with goods moving through our port. We did a study back in 2007 and again in 2009. It was a trade impact study that we did in partnership with the Port of Los Angeles and also the Alameda Corridor Transportation Authority, and it found that over 3.4 million jobs around the United States is associated with goods moving through our port. So there's a lot that we do here at the port. I would say that I learned something probably new every day that I'm here, and I've been here about 4 years now. I'm really proud to work here, given a lot of the work that we're doing on cleaning and the environment and improving air quality and water quality here and securing our ports. We have a very stellar staff here who will be able to answer any questions that you have. So I'm going to turn it over to Thomas.
Well, Samar stole my thunder, so I have nothing more to add. As Samar mentioned, in 2005 we adopted our green port policy, and that was followed in 2006 by our clean air action plan. Clean air action plan was a framework that we developed with the Port of Los Angeles to comprehensively address air quality issues here in between the 2 ports. We did that in cooperation with AQMD, the California Air Resources Board, and US EPA. The reason we set out to do this program was we had basically hit a point where neither port, us or the Port of Los Angeles, were able to move forward with projects because the impacts from port operations were so significant. We no longer had support from local community members, local politicians, and they would not allow us to move our projects forward unless we could comprehensively deal with their major issues. That's what spurred the green port policy, and the Clean Air Action Plan is the green port policy's answer to the air quality issue that it tries to address. And we basically took a comprehensive approach to look at emissions from ships, trains, harbor craft like tugboats, trucks, and cargo handling equipment. Cargo handling equipment, our efforts there, cargo handling equipment is equipment that can be found at a container terminal that moves containers around the terminal. They're captive to the port, so they're easy to deal with. They don't go anywhere, they don't leave, we know where they are. We actually been dealing with programs to clean up cargo handling equipment for years before our Greenport policy and our Clean Air Action Plan, because it was an area we knew how to tackle. After that, after we adopted the Clean Air Action Plan, the first thing that we did was launch our Clean Trucks program. You may have heard about the Clean Trucks program. Basically, it had a really simple goal. All the trucks that serve the two ports need to meet 2007 US EPA standards by 2012. It was phased in over time. As of January 1, 2010, our last implementation date, all trucks that were essentially older than 2004 were banned. Our final date for implementing the program is January 1, 2012, this next January, and any truck older than 2007 will be banned. We've already reduced emissions from trucks by 80%, and now we're starting to turn our focus to other things like locomotives and vessels. We hope to, as part of the updated Clean Air Action Plan, we identified long-term goals for emission reductions. We identified goals in the midterm, 2014, to help achieve regional attainment. The region here, Southern California, has federal imposed goals for clean air for particulate matter in 2014. So we set goals for reducing pollution in 2014, and then we set longer term goals for the next attainment date, which is 2023 for the ozone standard, what people commonly refer to as smog. In addition to that, one of the big things that people are concerned about with regard to air quality is the health impacts. Diesel, most of the equipment operating in the port is diesel equipment, and diesel equipment is associated with things like increased cancer risk, increased cardiovascular, cardiopulmonary disease, and there's a lot of interest in reducing that risk. More than interest, there's demand and need to reduce that risk. And the easiest way to do that is reduce particulate matter from these. And so one of our other goals is we've set a goal to reduce the cancer risk associated with port operations by 85% by 2020. All of these things that I'm describing here can be found in our updated Clean Air Action Plan. So if you want detailed information, the two ports maintain a special website separate from our own called cleanairactionplan.org. And in that, we outline our goals for the port overall. We identify measures for each source category. For things like trucks, we have our Clean Trucks program. For vessels, we have goals like clean fuels for ships, cold ironing. I don't know if you guys know what cold ironing is. Yes, no? Okay. And newer vessels, because newer vessels are cleaner vessels, just like trucks and just like cars. You buy a new car, your new car is cleaner than your old car. And so the Clean Air Action Plan identifies measures by source category and long-term goals. And in an effort to measure our progress to those, each port publishes annually an emissions inventory. It's a retrospective look at the prior year. So right now, the most recent available is 2009. We're in the process of finalizing the 2010 inventory. And what it does is it looks at every piece of equipment in the port. It looks at every ship that came to the port. It estimates the number of trains that came to the port, the number of trucks that came to the port, and uses real data from our terminals, from the vessel operators, to estimate emissions for the entire port. And we use that annual emissions inventory to track progress with our goals. And so far, our progress has been tremendous. We've had huge reductions in emissions as of 2009, and we expect those emission reductions to increase with time as more of our programs are implemented. So that's sort of a snapshot of our air quality. There are other things we're working on. There's a lot of issues dealing with hazardous waste. The port used to be co-located with the Wilmington oil field, or still is co-located with the Wilmington oil field. So there's historical oil production that resulted in contaminated land here. There have been efforts where we've cleaned up old parcels that have been contaminated with oil waste. We also have very aggressive programs with water quality. Similar to our Clean Air Action Plan, we again teamed with the Port of Los Angeles to develop the Water Resources Action Plan, and we call it the WRAP. And the WRAP is another program that where we identify measures to improve water quality in San Pedro Bay. I unfortunately don't have a lot of time today, and I wanted it, so if you guys have questions for me specifically, I'd be happy to answer them. And then if you have follow-up, I can leave my business cards if you want to contact me separately.
Sure. So the port uses electricity, right? As this I find out from online research. So where does the port electricity came from and what source the port used to get electricity?
Our utility is Southern California Edison.
Okay, so
That's easy. Yeah.
What upgrades and technologies have occurred recently?
Cold ironing is probably the number one. I mean, years long ago, that nobody used that at all, and now you're starting to see it spring up in other ports like Seattle, Wainimi, San Diego. You'll see it all throughout California because of a statewide regulation. We're also investigating with the Port of, as part of the Clean Air Action Plan, you can find specific information on the Technology Advancement Program that we developed with the Port of LA, where we're investing in new technologies like electric trucks, fuel cell trucks. There is the world, on the water here is the world's first hybrid tugboat that we helped deploy. So there are actually a lot of new technologies, and you can get detailed information, again, on the cleanairactionplan.org. Click on the button that says TAP, Technology Advancement Program, and you'll find information about each new technology we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
what is your definition of green?
I'm not sure there is a good definition of green. I mean, we're striving to reduce our impact as much as possible. Everybody knows what green is, and to a degree, it's a moving target. We're constantly improving the way we operate as a port. We're constantly looking at new technologies. The Clean Trucks program is a great example. We were able to, with the Clean Trucks program, reduce emissions by 80% from trucks. That is great right now. That is a tremendous benefit to the community. But in the long term, or even the midterm, is that going to be enough? Probably not. We're already looking at new things to move towards zero emissions on trucks. So I'm not sure, ultimately you want to eliminate the pollutants, the things that cause air pollution. You want to eliminate the greenhouse gases. You want to eliminate your impacts to water. It's not so much as an instant endpoint as a process of getting there and identifying the technology that gets you there, and it takes time. So I wouldn't, definitionally, it's a challenge. It's more of a process.
Is it difficult to incorporate eco-friendly resources while still maintaining efficiency?
I'm sorry, is it?
Is it difficult to incorporate eco-friendly resources while still maintaining efficiency?
Not if it's done with a mind to both. In fact, often efficiency is being green. A lot of people, the best way to bring business around to being green is pointing out, hey, if you're not idling that truck, if that truck's not sitting there with the engine on for no reason, you're not wasting fuel. Fuel costs money, you save money, you're being efficient, and the environment benefits. Almost all the first environmental programs that we had with regard to air quality focused on efficiency, because efficiency was a way to improve the business operations and improve the environment. Eventually you have to go beyond that, because what we're looking for in terms of things like emission reductions go beyond what efficiency can provide. But so long as you're conscious of the need to remain efficient, they don't have to be at odds. In fact, to a degree, they cannot be at odds because, again, Clean Trucks program is a great example. We require a certain amount of trucks. We have 25,000 round trips to the two ports every day. If somebody was out there checking, is this a clean truck, is this not a clean truck, the program would never work. It would have been a disaster for us, for the ports, and for the environment. Instead, We have computer systems that automate it, that check the truck as the truck's driving in. And as the truck gets to the front of the line, it gets a green light or a red light. If it's a green light, it can go into the terminal. If it's a red light, it's an old truck, or they didn't register properly, or something's wrong, they have to leave and figure out what's wrong. So you have to incorporate efficiency to make the green work.
What types of energy does the Port of Long Beach utilize in terms of non-renewable energy, inexhaustible energy?
Our portfolio, our providers, Southern California Edison. So what we do is dictated by Southern California Edison. While we're in the process of looking at ways where we can do some green power here at the port, our mix is Edison's mix. So that means right now it's about 33% carbon free, and about, I can't remember the percentage that's by definition renewable, but it's about 33% carbon free.
What green programs or organizations that you specifically know are currently in place at the Port of Long Beach? And what is the effect of these programs on the commerce and economics in California?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, sorry. What green programs or organizations that you specifically know of are in place at the Port of Long Beach, and how do they affect commerce and economics in California?
I'd say everything we do. I mean, the Clean Air Action Plan is a credible environmental program, a comprehensive program. And if you look at what the state has done in terms of addressing impacts from goods movement, you'll see that it copies what we did. What we identified in the Clean Air Action Plan, like cold ironing, clean trucks, clean fuels for ships, all of those are now state regulations. We've been partnering with the state so that what we do here gets translated to a broader audience. So the measures, it happened here first, but it's now being translated throughout the state. And so what we've done here is impacting throughout the state. And because of demands in other areas, you're now starting to see clean trucks programs in Seattle, in Oakland, in New York, New Jersey. And you'll continue to see it spread. I'm sorry, with that, I do have run out of time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my business cards with Samara, and if you guys have specific questions for me, you can give me a call or you can email me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You Jester, aren't you Jessica? Yeah.
Okay, next we'll turn it over to Chief Davis of our Security Division to provide you with an overview of our security program.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming this afternoon. As I said, my name is Ed Davis. I'm the Chief Port Security Officer for the Port of Long Beach. And you may have seen our patrol cars driving around the port as you came in this afternoon. If not, then you certainly saw our officers at the front desk as you came in that were handing out badges. So as you might imagine, for us, the world changed quite a bit after 9/11, and our focus has changed quite a bit in the 10 years since 9/11. Prior to 9/11, our focus was on basically three things, and that was law enforcement inside the port. Number two, environmental enforcement. We enforce CARB's air pollution laws within the port. And thirdly, we kept track of ships that came in and out of the port and make sure that the ships didn't damage the port's infrastructure, like the piers and docks. After 9/11, terrorism became our big new focus, and we have grown quite a bit and used about $125 million in federal grants to develop new security systems for the Port of Long Beach. We've hired new officers and changed our focus to include anti-terrorism as a new way of life for people running the port and for people working in the port. We have about 50 uniformed officers, men and ladies, and we work very closely with probably about 24 different other law enforcement agencies that work in and around both ports, Long Beach and LA. We work very closely with the Long Beach Police Department, with the Port of LA Police, LAPD, Coast Guard, Customs, FBI, a lot of other agencies that, that do business here in the port, and there's quite a few of them. We are here 24/7, 365 days a year. We usually have half dozen officers at any one time out patrolling around the port. We still put a huge emphasis on the environment in the port. We are very active in enforcing air quality standards in the port, and for instance, we will issue citations to ships that are smoking. If you see black smoke coming from a smokestack in a ship, we'll be out there within a few minutes to issue them a citation. And it's big business, a lot of big citations. One ship smoking in a bad case can be fined as much as $50,000. So it's quite important to the port, and it's important to the state of California to maintain our air quality here. And that's one of the things that we do that's maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. So rather than kind of go on, I think I'll open up to any questions, and I'll leave my business cards here also if anybody has any.
If I might, just before, because I think Chief Davis is being very humble in his remarks. One thing I will say is that he shared with you a number of the different agencies that they work with at the local, state, and federal level. Our security division is world-renowned for the work that we've been doing here. Similar to what we've done with our environmental programs, our security division has looked at a number of new technologies to make sure that we're secure both on the land and on the water side. As you'll see as you entered in the port area today, we don't have there's not one way in or one way out. So our security division has been very instrumental, not just to us as the port and working with our terminal operators and some of our other customers, but have been, I think, a great source of pride for the city of Long Beach and for the port, and also has served as a great example to other seaports as to what a very comprehensive security program looks like.
Thank you. Councilor. Questions?
How do you feel the recent negative economic downturn of California has affected security at the port?
I think that we've all noticed the downturn in terms of the volume of shipping that came into the port, particularly in 2009. But since then, there's been a huge upswing in the volume of traffic at the port. As far as our job in the security of the port, basically, we continued as before. We've been the recipient of a lot of financing through federal grants, and the port places a huge emphasis on security. So from our standpoint, the security of the port, we really have not seen a huge effect in terms of downturn in the economy.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the most commonly broken CARB regulations that are broken here at the port?
CARB regulations, that's a good question.
That's a question for Thomas.
Okay.
Since Thomas handles, works with the California Air Resources Board, he'll be able to answer that question for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes.
So what precautions help the Port of Long Beach prevent terrorist attacks?
Since 9/11 particularly, the Department of Homeland Security has placed a huge importance on security of ports. There's been some very important legislation that was passed. MTSA, I don't know if you're familiar with that, was passed, I think, in 2002, the Safe Port Act the following year. And following that legislation, there's been a tremendous amount of those security grants. And we have put the money to good use. And when I say to good use, we've really approached the problem in a three-dimensional way. And that is that we place a great emphasis on both security on land, on the water itself, on top of the water, and also under the water. A lot of people don't realize that we're concerned about security underwater as well. We have a brand new sonar system that is designed to detect swimmers underwater. We have radar system for on the water. We have cameras for above the water, and so it's pretty much a three-dimensional defense of the port.
So is there any plan to improve or modify the current security system to like make it safer for the port?
Sure. Yeah, we're continually improving security in the port. We work with a couple dozen partners that I mentioned